There comes a moment in life when you start to notice a pattern. You show up. You give your time, your energy, your loyalty, again and again and again. But somehow, when you need someone the most, there's no one there. No calls, no messages, no support, just silence. And it leaves you wondering, was I asking for too much or giving it to the wrong people? Because loyalty, real loyalty, is one of the rarest things in this world. It's not loud. It doesn't beg for attention. It doesn't need to prove itself with words. It shows up quietly, consistently, even when it's inconvenient, especially when it's inconvenient. But here's the truth. Most people learn too late. Not everyone deserves your loyalty. Some people don't see your kindness as strength. They see it as an opportunity to take more, ask for more, expect more, without ever giving the same in return. And the hardest part, you don't realize it at first, because you believe in people. You believe in connection. You believe that if you stay loyal long enough, they will too. But loyalty doesn't work that way. It cannot be forced. It cannot be earned through sacrifice alone. And it certainly cannot grow in one direction. Because when loyalty is one-sided, it slowly turns into something else. Exhaustion, resentment, and eventually, quiet disappointment. So today, this is your wake-up call. Not to become cold, not to stop caring, but to start seeing clearly. To understand that your loyalty is not something to give freely to anyone who asks for it. It is something valuable, something rare. And if you keep giving it to people who only know how to use you, you won't just lose your time, you'll lose yourself. Loyalty is not weakness. It's not something to be ashamed of. It's not something you need to hide. In fact, it's one of the strongest traits a person can have. Because being loyal means you stay when it's hard. You give when it's inconvenient. You care even when you don't have to. And in a world where most people walk away the moment things get uncomfortable, that makes you rare. But here's where most people get it wrong. They think loyalty should be given to everyone just to prove who they are. So they stay too long. They give too much. They forgive too easily. Not because people deserve it, but because they don't want to lose the connection. And that's the trap. Because loyalty is powerful, but only when it's placed in the right hands. When you give loyalty to someone who values it, it builds trust. It creates strength. It forms a bond that can survive almost anything. But when you give that same loyalty to the wrong person, it becomes a tool. A tool they use to keep you around, to rely on you without appreciating you, to take without ever feeling the need to give back. And the more loyal you are, the more they expect. Until one day, your effort becomes invisible, your presence becomes normal, and your value becomes overlooked. That's the danger of unconditional loyalty. Not because loyalty itself is wrong, but because not everyone is capable of respecting it. Some people are only loyal to their own needs. They will stand next to you as long as it benefits them. But the moment it doesn't, they disappear. And suddenly, you're left carrying a relationship that was never balanced to begin with. So understand this clearly. Your loyalty is not something cheap. It's not something everyone should have access to. It's earned, not through words, not through promises, but through actions, through consistency, through respect. Because at the end of the day, loyalty should be mutual. Not one person giving everything while the other simply takes. Sometimes, people don't hurt you directly. They don't shout. They don't betray you in obvious ways. Instead, they drain you slowly, quietly, almost invisibly. And that's what makes it dangerous. Because you don't notice it until you're already exhausted. One of the clearest signs is this. They only show up when they need something. When life is good for them, you barely hear from them. But the moment they face a problem, you become their first call, their first option, their emotional support. And at first, it feels like you matter. But over time, you realize something painful. You are not important to them. You are useful. Another sign, they rarely ask how you're doing and truly listen. They may say the words, but their attention is elsewhere. Because in their world, your feelings are secondary. Your struggles are background noise. And whenever you try to express yourself, they change the topic, minimize your pain, or make it about them. Then there's the guilt. They know exactly how to use it. Whenever you try to say no, you feel bad, like you're the one doing something wrong, like you're selfish for simply protecting your time and energy. And slowly, you start saying yes, even when you don't want to. Not because you agree, but because you feel trapped. And maybe the hardest sign to accept is this. There is no balance. You give. They take. You show up. They expect it. You sacrifice. They normalize it. But when the roles are reversed, they're busy, unavailable, or suddenly nowhere to be found. And deep down, you feel it. That quiet discomfort. That voice telling you something isn't right. But you ignore it because you don't want to believe that someone you care about only cares about what you can give. So listen carefully. People who truly value you won't make you feel used. They won't make you question your worth. And they definitely won't disappear the moment you stop giving. Because real connection is not built on convenience. It's built on mutual care. So the question becomes, if the signs are there, if deep down you already feel it, why do you stay? Why do you keep giving to people who keep taking? The answer is not weakness. It's human. Because at some point, there was something real, a memory, a connection, a moment where they showed you just enough care to make you believe they were different. And you hold on to that version of them, not who they are now, but who they used to be, or maybe who you hoped they could become. You tell yourself, they're just going through something. They didn't mean it. They'll change. So you wait. You give more. You try harder, thinking that if you love them better, if you stay loyal longer, they will eventually see your value. But here's the truth. People don't change because you sacrifice more. They change when they choose to. Another reason you stay is fear. Fear of losing the connection. Fear of starting over. Fear of being alone. Because even a painful connection can feel safer than the unknown. So you tolerate more than you should. You accept behavior you once said you never would. And slowly, your standards begin to drop. Not all at once, but little by little, until one day, you don't even recognize yourself anymore. And then, there's something deeper, your identity. You see yourself as a loyal person, a strong person, someone who doesn't give up on people. So walking away feels like betrayal, like you're becoming someone you're not. But here's what most people don't realize. Staying in a one-sided relationship is not loyalty. It's self-abandonment. Because real loyalty should never require you to lose yourself in the process. So if you find yourself constantly drained, constantly questioning your worth, constantly hoping they'll change, maybe it's time to stop asking, "How can I be more loyal?" and start asking, "Why am I being loyal to someone who doesn't value me?" At first, it doesn't feel like you're losing yourself. It feels like you're just being patient, being understanding, being loyal. But slowly, something begins to change. You start saying yes when you really want to say no. You start showing up even when you're exhausted. You start giving even when you have nothing left. And you tell yourself, this is what loyalty looks like. But it's not. Because real loyalty does not require you to betray yourself. Yet that's exactly what begins to happen. You ignore your own needs. You silence your own voice. You push aside your own feelings just to keep someone else comfortable. And over time, you become a version of yourself that feels unfamiliar, less confident, more anxious, constantly overthinking. Did I do enough? Did I say the right thing? Why don't they treat me the same way? You start measuring your worth based on how useful you are to them. And that's where the real damage begins. Because once your value is tied to how much you give, you will always feel like it's not enough. No matter how much you sacrifice, no matter how much you try, it will never feel complete because the relationship itself is incomplete. And the most painful part, you slowly lose your self-respect. Not in one big moment, but in hundreds of small decisions. Every time you tolerate what hurts you, every time you accept less than you deserve, every time you stay silent when you should have spoken up, you move further away from who you are. Until one day, you look at your life and realize you've been fighting so hard to keep someone else that you lost yourself in the process. So understand this clearly. Loyalty should never cost you your identity. It should never make you feel smaller. It should never make you question your worth. Because the moment you have to shrink yourself just to keep someone in your life, that's not loyalty anymore. That's a slow form of self-destruction. And the longer you stay there, the harder it becomes to find your way back. There comes a point when you have to make a decision, not about them, but about yourself. A moment where you finally ask, how much more of myself am I willing to lose just to keep this? Because walking away is not weakness, and choosing yourself is not betrayal. But for someone who has always been loyal, it feels that way at first. It feels uncomfortable, unnatural. You start questioning everything. Am I giving up too soon? Am I being selfish? What if they really need me? But here's the truth. You are not responsible for saving people who are draining you. And you are not obligated to stay in a place where you are not valued. Learning to pull back your loyalty doesn't mean you stop being a good person. It means you start being a wise one. It means you begin to recognize who deserves your energy and who doesn't. And most importantly, it means you finally respect yourself enough to set boundaries. Not loud boundaries, not aggressive ones, but clear ones. Quiet strength, the kind that says, I care about you, but I will not lose myself for you. At first, they might not understand. They might question you, blame you, even try to make you feel guilty, because they were used to having access to you without limits. But that's exactly why this change matters. Because the people who truly value you will respect your boundaries. They won't punish you for protecting your peace. They won't disappear just because you stopped overgiving. And the ones who do, They were never loyal to you. They were loyal to what you provided. So don't be afraid to take your energy back. Don't be afraid to say enough. Because the moment you stop giving loyalty to those who only use you, you create space. Space for better people, better connections, and a better version of yourself. And sometimes, the most powerful form of loyalty is the loyalty you finally give to yourself. And one day, it finally hits you. Not in a loud, dramatic moment, but in silence. A quiet realization that you've been giving your loyalty to someone who never truly chose you. Not really, because people who choose you don't make you question your place in their life. They don't make you feel like you have to earn your spot over and over again. But you did. You kept proving, kept showing up, kept giving more of yourself, hoping that one day it would be enough. But it never was. And that's when the truth becomes impossible to ignore. It was never about you not being enough. It was about them never being able to value what you gave. And suddenly, everything becomes clear. All the times you felt drained, all the moments you felt overlooked, all the nights you questioned your worth. They weren't random. They were signals, warnings that you were pouring into something that could never pour back into you. And in that moment, you feel two things at once. Pain, because you finally see the truth, and power, because now you can choose differently, because now you understand. Loyalty is not about holding on no matter how much it hurts. It's about knowing when to let go. Not because you stopped caring, but because you finally started caring about yourself. And that shift changes everything. Because the moment you stop chasing people who only value your presence when it benefits them, you take your power back. You reclaim your time, your energy, your peace. And for the first time in a long time, you are no longer waiting to be chosen. You choose yourself. In the end, life will bring you back to one simple truth. You cannot build a meaningful life on one-sided loyalty. You cannot find peace in relationships where you are constantly overgiving and rarely receiving. Because no matter how strong you are, no matter how loyal you are, you were never meant to carry everything alone. So, if you've been holding on to people who only stay when it's convenient, this is your moment. Not to hate them, not to become cold, but to finally let go with clarity. To understand that walking away is not losing, it's choosing. Choosing peace over constant disappointment. Choosing self-respect over silent suffering. Choosing growth over emotional exhaustion. Because the right people, they won't need to be convinced to value you. They won't require you to sacrifice your well-being just to keep them in your life. They will meet you halfway. They will stand beside you. They will stay, not because they need you, but because they choose you. And that's the difference. So from this point forward, be loyal, but be selective. Give your time to those who respect it. Give your energy to those who return it. And most importantly, give your loyalty to those who prove through actions, not words, that they deserve it. Because once you learn to protect your loyalty, you don't just protect your heart, you protect your entire life.